All righty. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Passionately Speaking, our weekly masterclass where we talk about public speaking. And today I'm so excited because we're going to talk about stories. And our topic is how to keep your story alive. How to keep it alive, how to keep it fresh, how to keep it as if you're telling it for the very first time. This is a challenge. We've talked a lot about stories, but it is a challenge to keep it fresh, keep it alive, especially when you say it over and over and over again. So it's not the audience that gets tired of hearing your story. It's you that gets tired of telling it and hearing it. So how do you keep it alive for you? Because if it's alive for you, if it's fresh for you, then you will deliver it fresh to your audience. So we're going to go, and I'm going to pick a few of you, a few at surprise. You're going to share your story, and I'm going to give you coaching based around what, how to keep it alive and what maybe sounded kind of like it was diving a little bit. So first, I'm going to pick on Jackie, because I know Jackie has a story ready to tell.
And this is just so appropriate today because I've been speaking a lot and I am getting tired of my story. Okay. So this is good. I'm ready to be coached.
Okay. And I want everyone to kind of do your own little notes. And when you think that something isn't landing on you, I want you to make a note. So maybe if it's the location, or if it's a certain place and you say, oh, grandfather, something that'll like jiggle your mind. If it feels like it's not landing and you're going, I want you to write that down. Okay. And then I'll ask you, for those areas, because I'm not going to, I'm not going to catch everything. And you're all the audience. And so, collectively we'll bring it back to life. Okay, Jackie, go ahead and start. Tommy, would you time it for us? Because timing your story is very important. We want to make sure you're not going on any more than 5 minutes.
Let me start my timer too. That helps me to figure out where I am. And let me close the door here.
Okay, and it's good to have you back, Jackie. Now, listen, I'm like crying over a week of eyeballs, and Jackie's been wearing this thing. How long now?
Longer than I'd like. I'm not keeping track of it. It would not be productive to keep track of it. So it's whatever it is, it is.
Okay, well, you're a trooper.
Okay. Would it be all right with you if I shared my story with you? My story began over 45 years ago. I was on a ski vacation with my husband in Austria. Beautiful day set in the gorgeous mountains of Austria. Pretty little church in the background, blue skies, snow-capped mountains. It was at the bottom of the hill. My tips crossed one over the other, and I did a face plant. Now, that usually wouldn't be a problem, but my bindings didn't release. So my skis were vertical, and my body was horizontal. I can still hear that as the bones in my lower left leg shattered. Next thing I knew, I was waking up in an orthopedic surgeon's recovery room with a pin through my ankle and a cast that went all the way from my toes up. I spent that way for about 6 months. During that time, I couldn't put any weight on that leg. I had to keep it elevated the whole time. Finally, after about 6 months, the big day came to get that cast taken off. I was so excited. I don't know if you've ever had a cast on, but they come at you with this little whirly saw thing, and you're just praying that the guy who's on the other end of that saw knows how deep to make that cut, because your limb is in there, and you're just hoping that they don't go through. Get the saw going. They use these big pliers to crack it open, and then I looked at my leg, and what had been a healthy 30-year-old leg was this shriveled up, atrophied thing that really didn't resemble what went into the cast at all. Kind Army doctor, and I use that term loosely, took one look at it, and he said with a harumph, "Well, you're always going to have a limp and you'll never run again." that was the day I decided I would become, for the first time, a runner. Now, it didn't happen overnight. I had to go through a lot of painful physical therapy because the other issue with my leg was my heel missed hitting the floor by this much. That's how much my Achilles tendon had atrophied during that time in the cast. So I had to begin that painful process of getting that Achilles tendon to stretch again. And you know how uncomfortable stretching muscles can be, especially when they're just stuck in one position. But after about a year, I finally began to take those running steps. And you know what? I've been running ever since. And that was 45 years ago. I ran recreationally for about 20 years. Maybe I entered a race here and there, didn't really pay attention to it. I was just trying to prove that darned army doctor wrong. But then in my 50s, I set a goal to run a marathon. That wasn't without some challenges, but finally I ran that first marathon. But what I did when running that marathon was I started taking a product from Nutrilite called Double X. Not only did it give me more energy, but it also got rid of the itises that I had suffered from all my life, sinusitis, bronchitis, all those kinds of things. So I thought, well, this is pretty cool. And I thought, well, since I was involved in that as a business, I thought I'm going to use my own business, products from my own business to train with. So I trained for that marathon only using the products from my business. And that created a shift in me. I was running a swim school at the time, and I decided that wellness was really my forte. So I moved from my swim school into wellness. And that's how I got started and came to be in the wellness industry today.
Beautiful. Good job. Let's give her all a big hand. Great job. Let's give her some love. Woo. Yeah. Great job, Jackie. And you were right. That was 5 minutes, right, Tommy? And she had 56 seconds left or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So great job. I love how you start, and I love how you talk about Austria, and I love how you use visual words like the church and the blue sky and all of that. Beautiful, beautiful. Well done. I'll come back to that in a minute. I love how, again, that you start the big day. When she did the big day came, that's like when we talk about one day, right? But she just she made it her own. The big day came, right? So we always know there's a shift coming when there's one day, right? One day this happens, just like in fairy tales and folk tales. You know, one day the wicked witch put a spell on you, right? Or put a spell on somebody. One day, you know, the prince came and, you know, whatever. So, so hers was the big day. I love that. And I love the humor about the saw, and I hope he knows where to cut. I love it. Great visuals with your shriveled up leg. We can all see that. Great job. It's funny how the doctor said you'll never run again, and yet you were not a runner. You might even want to add something like that. I've never ran in my life, but he said I wasn't, you know. Then the marathon, all that, double X. But I want to come back to something in the beginning. So all of that was good. Great use of those visual words. Great use of, you know, how you felt about that army doctor, you know, and, you know, how he grunted, and, you know, great. All that's beautiful and well done. And I know you've been working on that for a while. But I got a little confused, and I think it was your cleverness that got me a little confused, because you talk about Austria, and I don't know if I missed it, but somehow I didn't know you were skiing when you first started out with Austria and the church in the background. And it wasn't until later, till after your fall, you said your legs twisted over each other. And, you know, and I'm like, well, how did that happen? Were you walking down the steps? I mean, and then later you tell us that you were skiing. So I don't know if that was deliberate or if I missed something, but that's the kind of thing that gets the audience going, what, did I miss something? And if I missed it, then it wasn't big enough or clear enough. You follow me? Maybe it was just kind of like you know.
I actually think I forgot it.
You said
Okay.
something about tips, and I didn't get that. Didn't you say something about tips?
Yeah, my ski tips. I did.
I would not know what tips were. That's why I was trying to figure that
Okay.
out.
Thank
I
Okay.
knew you were
Kay.
skiing though. I knew you were skiing, but I didn't know about tips.
Okay, so let's go back then a little bit. Whatever you left out, let's put in now, because I mean, sometimes people purposely try to do, you know, like they do prologues and monologues and stuff like that, where they put the ending first and then they say the journey, and you know, and it's okay if we know and it's very clear, but sometimes being clever like that can mess it up and not, you know, and lose your audience. So let's go back and you tell me whatever you think you left out, and then we'll go from there. And then I'll see if there's any other places, but go ahead and do that.
Well, after the beautiful day, I usually say it was the first day out on the ski slope. And at the bottom of the hill, I crossed my 2 tips over the other, tripped and fell.
Okay, so maybe we'll say tips of the ski.
Tips of the
Maybe make
skis.
it a little clearer for us non-skiers, because I'm not a skier either. How many of you here have ever skied? Let's just ask. Okay, we've got 2 out of 12. So there's 10 of us that probably don't know what tip means, because we're so used to it, tips meaning other things, you know, like helpful tips and things like that. So it might just a little clear, my ski tips, or the front of my ski. We don't care that it's called a tip. The front of my skis crossed. Now we know, and you can even use a visual of your hands to even further demonstrate that cross. We all know you're going to go down if your skis cross. Whether it's water ski, snow ski, whether we've ever skied before or not, we know that's the outcome. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, good. See, it's just refining your story, refining, and Jackie's done a great job. Okay, so try that. So do the beginning again, just like you would tell it normally.
It was a beautiful sunny day in Innsbruck, Austria, a beautiful little town nestled in the Australian Alps. My husband and I were there for a vacation. He was stationed in Germany. We were about to go down the ski slope. Getting ready, I put my skis on. First time down the hill, I crossed my 2 skis over the top of each other. My right ski going over the top of my left ski. I tripped, I fell, and my skis, well, let's see, my skis were vertical and my body was horizontal, and my bindings didn't release. Would have been just a normal face plant, but I heard this as my lower left leg shattered.
Okay, good. All right, that was clearer. Okay, so practice that a little more, because it was sounded a little stiff, but yeah, but keep
It was.
yeah, but keep practicing that. But I didn't hear really any other places that it was getting stale or old, except when you started to talk a little bit about your business at the end. Then I felt like, I don't know, it's not flowing. Now, it worked fine until you did double X. Okay, so everything's fine. And then you started to take this double X by Nutrisystem. Is that it? Okay.
Neutralite.
Neutralite. You fell in love with it. It helped you. When you said all that, it made me want to buy it.
Good, right? That's the point.
It gave you energy. It gave you this. But then I didn't later on when you talked about business and how you bought it for your business. It felt icky. I don't know what it was. So let's go over that part. Did it feel icky to anybody else? A little bit. Tommy says, yeah. Icky. Icky is a word. I-C-K-Y. Icky. Okay. Oh, look at Tanya's cooking. What are you cooking, Tanya? She's
Well,
good.
my is over here. She had to do a work study program. So I gave her some work to do so I could sign off. And so I'm making some tacos for her because she has to leave at 6.
All right, tacos. Okay, so let's refine that. I mean, it's okay to, that's how you got in the business. That's what this is all about. But something in the wording just didn't work. So let's work on that. So go from a little bit before you found this double X and how it gave you energy, it gave you this, and then tell me what you say after that, and then we'll clean it up a little bit. Just tell me what you normally would say. You muted yourself.
I was unmuted and then I changed it.
Right.
In my 50s, I decided to run my first marathon.
Okay.
Training for that marathon, I found a product called Double X. I fell in love with it. It gave me more energy, and it also helped me with all the itises that I'd suffered from since I'd been a child. Bronchitis, sinusitis, all those things that make it difficult for somebody to run. At that point, I was also involved in the Nutrilite business. And at that point, I decided that I was going to use only the products that came from Nutrilite to run that marathon. I was so excited with what those products did for me that I decided to switch from my swim school and go into wellness full time.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. I think that's what it was. The sentence where you say involved. So go, okay, so double X. So in other words, you were so excited about the product that, so just do that sentence. I think it's that sentence that makes it sound bad. Double X, take me from there. I'll stop.
Double X. It took away the chronic problems I had experienced since a child, sinusitis, bronchitis, and it gave me more energy. I trained using that product and the other products from Nutrilite, and I decided to switch and become involved with Nutrilite full time.
Okay, so let's stop there. I think that's the sentence.
Okay.
Tommy, you have something you want to say?
I don't know if other people are feeling this, but as soon as you mentioned double X and Nutrilite, I went, oh, you're trying to sell me something.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you don't name the product right now or Nutrilite until later, and you just talk about, I found I was taking something that turn my health around, turn my ability to run around. So then you're enticing me to hear it. But when you first say I was taking the product double X, I kind of turned off when you said that, because I thought, okay, now you're really trying to push something. So maybe you have to get us to feel a little bit more enticed before we hear the name. I don't know. I don't know if anyone
No,
else.
I think you're onto something, Tommy. So I think right here, see, the point is you got into wellness. The point isn't that you joined a network marketing company and that you're selling that. The point is that this product turned you around to where you got interested in wellness. So if we do it, I think Tommy's right. I didn't like the word, Nutra, whatever it was. I want to say Nutrisystem anyway, which is not right. So,
That's weight loss.
Yeah. So I found this, this amazing product that gave me more energy. Now let's go back and refine it even further. Did you find it? If you found it, how did you find it? Or did someone turn you on to it? And if so, who was it? That's what we need to discover now. So how did you really find out about it?
We got involved in the Amway business and somebody said, try it. So I did.
Okay, perfect. So why don't we do this? So a friend of mine told me about this amazing, I told my friend I was training for a marathon, and she told me about this amazing product. So I tried it. It gave me more energy. I could train better. I could run faster. And I was so in love with it that I started, inquiring about other wellness products. And I started taking those. And I finished the marathon. So we want to come clear circle with that marathon. And I finished it. 5 months later, I finished the marathon, feeling great, la, la, la. And that's how I got into wellness. I started researching wellness products and why they work so well. We don't have to know at this point that it's Nutrilite. We don't ever have to know until your close the actual product. And maybe even then we don't have to know the product, because here's where we run the risk of those people selling products like that. Oh, Nutrilite. Well, I'll just go to Amazon and buy it. Oh, XX Nutrilite. I'll just go to Amazon. Right? Or I think I know a friend that might sell Shackley. I'll just do that. Right? That's why you don't hear me anymore. And I'm telling you, it's all to be kept by you. But I don't tell people about my business coach anymore, because I used to. Now, he's not a public speaking trainer like me, but I've had people that go, oh, why go to you when I can go to your coach? And they've skipped me and gone to my coach. Does it do them a good service or a disservice?
Yes,
Most of the time, a disservice, right? So that's why they'll skip you and go to Amazon or go to a friend or go somewhere else. So don't tell them your secret. The product, it doesn't matter. What they want is the energy from the XX. They don't care if it's called XXX or, eat cucumbers all day long. Just give me the answer, right?
And what I'm really trying to sell is a
Well,
wellness strategy session with people, not that particular product.
no,
So that's
and
great feedback. Thank you.
And you
Thank
don't know what product is for them. It might be Nutrilite. It might be some other bag in your tricks or tricks in your bag,
That's okay.
right? It might be some other product. You have more than one product. All wellness people do, right? Okay,
Yes.
Tommy, your hand was up again.
Yeah, you have me on your story, Jackie. You have me on your story, and I would encourage you to keep on your story that you recovered, and because I want to hear about you. I don't want to hear about a product.
Right. And
I want to hear about you. And that's when I kind of turned off. That's when it felt like I was talking about a product. So keep talking about your recovery, and you can say, I started taking something that really helped me, because I want to. That's great that you're down in the dumps. You can't ski, you can't do that, and now you're getting better, and so right at the very end, maybe at the close, you can touch on NutraSweet or that, because keep it about you and make sure it doesn't become about a product.
Yeah, no, don't ever, I'm telling all of you, don't ever mention your product in your secret sauce until they do a strategy session with you, because otherwise they'll go either knock you out completely and get it themselves, or they'll turn off, just like Tommy did. Oh, it's network marketing. Oh, what? I mean, come on, we're all using, even doctors, they're smart enough to go to network marketing companies and sell their Arbonne products or their supplements or something, it's just like, anyway. Yeah, so let's do that one little piece again without it. Again, don't tell everybody your secret sauce. Mary, did you have something? Oh,
yeah, just a little bit there about if you're talking about strategies. I heard that, doctor, and I looked at that leg and decided to take charge of my own health and wellness. And over the time, I developed strategies for improving my own health and wellness. And then you can take it from there.
That's good, Mary. Thank you.
Okay.
Not quite the way it happened, but that's okay.
Right.
Little creative license.
Okay, so let's get back down to the story, just the ending. And then what, because I want to Jason to come on and do his story. Where's Jason go? There he is. Wake up, Jason.
So where do you want me to start, Arvee?
After the 50 marathons, when you're in your 50s, you're going to start training for marathon. And then a friend told you about this amazing product, but you're not going to call it XX.
Okay.
Someone could go to Amazon and put XX. And I only mentioned Shackley, honey, because I have a friend of mine that just told me about a product that she got. And I said, oh yeah, who's it by? She's like, Shackley. I'm like, where'd you get it? She's like, Amazon. I'm like, oh really? Wait till I tell Karen. What is up
Yeah.
with that? How can that happen, Karen? How can someone go and buy your stuff on Amazon? You're muted.
It's a problem because part of
it
the
is.
compensation plan, sometimes people overbuy product and then they unload it. And, you know, same as any other network marketing company, there's no guarantees behind it, or whatever credibility the organization has isn't carried through on those resells. It's a problem.
Okay.
It's a problem for all of us who are in network marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another reason why you nip it in the bud and don't use the name of the company, because it doesn't matter what your tools are. You're selling the solution, not the tools, right? I mean, when you buy a drill, you're not buying a drill to have a fancy drill, right, Jason? You're buying a drill for the hole that it makes. Don't forget that. They're not buying the drill. So don't mention the drill. They don't care what kind of drill it is. They want the hole. So Jackie's drill is neutral light. Karen's drill is Shackley. You know, it doesn't matter. We want the hole. We want the health. We want the energy. Keep that in mind for all of you. Okay, because we all kind of sometimes start selling the drill. All right, good job. Okay, go ahead, Jackie. Last little bit. From time you were 50.
So in my 50s, I decided that I wanted to run a marathon. And in training for that marathon, I found an amazing product that a friend recommended, and it gave me great energy. It also helped to take care of the chronic problems that I had suffered since a very young person. Sinusitis, bronchitis, all those things impeded my running. So I gave this product a try. And while I was trying that, there were some others that I tried to train with for my marathon. That led me to develop an interest in wellness. And my wellness, that led me to develop an interest in wellness. And that is how I ended up in the business I am in today.
Well, and then instead of that's how I ended up in the business, I mean, you could say that, but then the very end of your story is your elevator speech, your core message. So today I teach people how to, whatever that is. So right after that sentence, that wraps it up in a nice, neat little bow to bring you back to doing what you're doing today. And that's all benefit driven. So you're not selling doing that. So what is your core message?
I inspire high achievers to live healthier lifestyles so that they can do what they do best.
That's it. So today, right, and you might want to add through wellness, blah, 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 blah. Very good. Let's give Jackie a big hand for that. Great job. All right. We have time for one more, but let me ask you something because we don't have a lot of time. Do you want to do this again next week? A few more of you? You want to do it again next week? Okay. So I know Tommy, you probably want to take a chance. Now, Kay won't be here next week. Why don't we do Kay? Jason, would it be okay for us to do you next week? Let's do Kay. She's not expecting it, but she's always gone to Tanzania and never able to be on these calls. Now, everybody knows Kay, right? Why don't you introduce yourself? Dr. Peggy doesn't know you. Dr. Peggy, I want you to go next week as well. Okay. So, but I don't want you rehearsing anything extra. I want you to do it just like you would do it. Okay, so Kay, why don't you introduce yourself so that Dr. Peggy and those that don't know you, and then launch into your 5-minute story.
Okay, my name is Kay, Safari Kay, and I own a safari company in Tanzania, Africa. So that's why I'm always in Africa, taking groups back and forth to Africa several times a year. And so I belong to a lot of travel boards and so forth. So I'm not on this call as much as I'd like to be, but that's who I am. I'm leaving on Sunday for 2 months. So anyway.
And I'll be there. I'll be there.
I'm excited.
So I don't know how to start my story because it's kind of long, but I'm going to try to shorten it. So I'd spent about 40 years in the HR business. I was HR director for a county department. Everything was going well until one day I received a call from my mom. Hey, I can't breathe. What do I do? I quickly told my mom to hang up the phone, call 911 because they would get to her before I could, but I would call her right back. 2 minutes later, I called her back and the paramedics answered the phone. My mom passed away the next day.
Oh.
And that started the beginning of a depression that would last for 3 years. Not just because my mom passed away, because shortly after that, I was in a traffic accident and I broke almost every bone in my body. I thought I would never move again. I thought I'd never walk again. But my 3 brothers nursed me back to health for about a year until I could get back to work part-time. I was so grateful that I had them in my life, so grateful that they took care of me. But shortly after I was back at work, one of those brothers would pass away. And I was devastated. I was inconsolable, actually. I didn't know what to do with my life. Losing my youngest brother. 2 months later, my next brother would die. And he was just a few years younger than me. So now I've lost 2 brothers. Couldn't move, was in an accident, wasn't able to take care of myself, nobody to depend upon. It was a miserable, miserable life at that point. I went to bed depressed. I woke up depressed. I stayed depressed for almost 3 years. The only thing that helped me was being able to talk to a psychologist and psychiatrist. Only because I could cry in front of them. I didn't want to be in front of any of my friends because all I did was cry. And this went on for some time until one morning I woke up and I didn't wish the day away the way I used to. I woke up and I said I had to change my environment. I could not live like that. And so I decided that I would try to change my environment by taking a trip. Having been in the travel industry part-time for years, almost as long as I worked for the county, I quickly found a trip that would operate within a month because I didn't want to have it take any longer because I would have changed my mind. So I signed up for a trip, 2 trips available, Hawaii and Tanzania. I didn't want to go to Hawaii. It was too close. It wasn't. I just figured I would not be able to be in a place that was far enough away if I went to Hawaii. So I chose Tanzania. I didn't know much about Africa. I knew Tanzania was in Africa. That is all I knew. But I decided to take that trip. And I took that trip. And I swear the people in Tanzania, I felt like they knew what was going on with me. I had never told them, but they embraced me as if I were one of their own. And I just really enjoyed myself. I didn't really think about everything that happened. And I was there for 2 weeks, and I actually extended my trip for another week because I didn't want to come back home. But I came back home anyway, and I thought, what do I do with my life? I had so much fun in Tanzania. Fun meaning that I didn't think. Not fun where I just forgot everything. I just didn't think about things. And so I decided to retire. 37 years with the County of Los Angeles, I decided to retire. I knew that I could do something in travel. I didn't know what. I took 2 years off and traveled around every safari destination in Africa to see what the difference was in Tanzania and all of the other countries. And I found myself right back in Tanzania because the people were so friendly, so embracing. And I knew that if I took guests there, they would enjoy it too. And that led me to find myself, find who I really was, find myself in a different state of mind, and start a business in Tanzania, Africa.
So today, and now your core message.
Yes, so today I have a safari company in Tanzania, and I am leading groups to Tanzania several times a year. It has been 17 years now. I have not had any issues. I love working internationally. I have a partner there. He's not part of my business. He's separate, but he is my driver guide, and he helps make the trip. I put it together and he brings it to life. And together we have a great business relationship.
Beautiful. Okay. So you can catch her story in The Impact of One Voice, where Tommy's a part of, Jackie is a part of, and I guess that's it for now. Okay. And also her latest book just came out.
Tanya.
Okay. From Tragedy to Tanzania. Okay. Writing is a great healer, right? And again, I still have room in my second volume if you want to write a chapter. Okay, let me know. But let's get back to your story. So very good, very good. I think, you know, you had a lot of tragedy. I mean, I had to sit here and think, man, here I'm complaining about my 1.5 years of grief when I just lost a husband and 2 dogs. And here you lost 2 brothers, got in an auto accident, and lost your mom. I'm like, holy smokes, right? That's a lot to deal with. And I was just saying how I appreciate Evelyn because I was alone, and here you were alone, you know, after your auto accident, and your brothers both bailed on you, you know, and here you are all about living by yourself, you know? So it's like, even when we think we have it bad, there's always someone that seems like that they have even more of a challenge than we do, right? So I don't know how you got through that, my dear, but I'm glad you did, because look at what you're doing now. Now, you all don't know it, but I know it, but Kay is about ready to turn 80. Look at her. Holy smokes, right? And she's had no work done.
You are telling a big story.
That's
Oh,
right.
I wish she was, but you know what? I'm grateful to have the 80 years that I have. So
So that is part of the reason why I'm going to Tanzania now, because how long do you think she's going to do it? Someday she might want to retire, number one. But the only reason why I know is because she's going to have a big party and I'm going. And it might be in Tanzania this time. I don't know, but I'm going. Okay. But yeah, it's just a blessing. So, okay. So in the beginning, so sometimes when we do stories, we play the end before we do the beginning, you know, kind of like a prologue. And in this one, I think it would be better if we didn't set it up, because I think once we mount everything on top of each other and pile it up, we're all in the audience going, holy smokes, how did you live through that? So if we take it one at a time, first the incident was your mom died, right?
and I skipped a lot of things.
Yeah, it sounded like, I know you skipped your friend who you were
Yes.
going to go into business with.
Yes.
You might want to add that on there just because that is like the, you know, the explosion off the cake. I mean, it's like, come
That's
on,
true.
Lord, how many more things can she handle? But I think we need to just kind of pile them up. So if your mom died first, you know, and I'm okay with a 911 call and you couldn't get there and then you found out over the phone, because that's devastating. But then you had said that started a depression that lasted 3 years.
Right. Which
Then you got into the other reason. you might want to hold off the 3 years is what I'm saying here. And just that started me on the road to depression. That started me, somehow on the road to depression.
And I think I said that in the book, but when I tell the story, I changed it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then what happened is you had a traffic, because you just said something, and
Yes.
then you got in a traffic accident, right? Okay.
Yes.
So that started you on the road of depression. But then shortly after that, you got in a terrible, horrific auto accident where and then describe it, where you were, bedridden, whatever. But by the grace of God, you had 2 loving brothers that took care of you, right? So
Right.
now we imagine loving brothers taking care of you, and then wham, one of them dies. What? Wham, 2 months later, the second brother died. They're your caregivers, and now they're gone. And you're still recuperating from this horrific accident, right?
Right.
Now you're all by yourself. And then, I mean, that's when the depression you could talk about the depression was just too much to bear. And you went into a 3-year depression, right? Were you on medication?
I was given medication, but I never took it.
Okay, good for you. It's probably why you got out of it in 3 years. Otherwise, it probably would have lasted 6 or 7. Okay, so how did you, so I love the whole Tanzania. Whether or not you mentioned that you went to therapy and could cry,
Yeah.
I don't really think that has anything to do with your overall outcome, which was Tanzania. I'd rather you save that time,
Mhm.
but just tell us a little bit about somehow you got better. You were still depressed, but physically you healed. And how long did that take from the accident?
From the accident, it took me about 1.5 years to get back to walking, not completely moving. I would say probably 2.5 years really to get back to where I was.
In those 2.5 years, when did you go to Tanzania? Was it the end of the 2.5 or during that time?
No, it was during the 2.5.
Okay, then let's just take it to that time. So when you got physically able to move, even though you were still not running marathons or something, but you got healed, as soon as you got a little healing and you could move again on your own, then, this whole thing came up where you needed to go somewhere and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So let us know, because you kind of left us there where we don't know if you're still in bed or what happened,
Yeah.
are you in a wheelchair going to Tanzania? Are you, so because I think also just going to Tanzania not only healed you, emotionally, but it healed you probably physically because
physically
you
as
had to
well.
move a little bit more and you were energized to move. And I
Yeah.
love how you wanted to stay there and you stayed there another week. I love that. Milk that. You could even tell us about some of the animals, because we all know about, horses and tree hugging and, so maybe there's something element of that with the wild animals and the monkeys, and maybe you hugged a giraffe. I don't know, but I'd love to see more visual on what you saw that was healing you so well.
Right. And I was paying attention to Tom holding the clock as well. So,
Yeah.
when he was holding the time, so I was aware of the time. And so I know that there was a lot really that I skipped. So I have to kind of refine that.
Yeah. Well, when we tell our stories, a lot of times we have to pick and choose.
Yes.
And like I say, the little bit about, about you going to therapy really didn't matter. I mean, we could skip that and just save it for the animals or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just wrap it up with, today, because then other people are going to want to heal and go to Tanzania. I know, that, I mean, I didn't think of healing and going to Tanzania, but after what happened this week, yeah, maybe
You'll be
that
glad.
would be good for me, to do a little tiny healing. And I tease people because I tell them that I told you a long time ago, I don't want to sleep in some monkey tent, right? Remember I said that? I'm not going to sleep in some monkey tent somewhere, but we're staying in all 5-star hotels. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to sleep in a monkey tent, and just get a little humble pie, So, yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kay is not going to be doing this forever. So if you want to go, go now. It's not cheap, but nothing good ever is. Just save your money and go. I would not want to go with anybody but Kay. She's been there how many times? Over 100, right?
For 100 times.
Over 100 times. She knows everybody and they know her and she can get things done. We're going to do also a philanthropy thing with children. We bought raincoats and we're going to take raincoats to what, an orphanage or something?
Children's home, right.
Children's homes?
28 disadvantaged children.
Yeah, so we're doing some good things too. It's not just, high vacation here. It's, so.
This is more of an education.
Yeah, so there's some good things. I encourage you to reach out to Kay. And we're so glad that you could come on today.
I am too.
Oh, yeah. So CJ, while I'm gone. CJ and Tommy.
Oh, by
the way. I'll need your help to keep the call going because I'm not calling from Tanzania.
You got it, of course.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do this again next week. This was fun, right? And educational. Was this good? All right, so practice your stories because you never know if I'm going to call on you. All right, but we'll do Jason for sure next week. And hopefully I'd love to do all of you. But if we do it faster, we can do more. Hey, Jackie, great job. Great
Thank you.
job on your story. And I think we really helped you. And I didn't
Yes,
have
you
time
did
to
a lot.
go- I didn't have time to go around the room, but if you come back next week, maybe we'll do that because I did spend a little time, talking about me that we won't have to do next week. So we'll have a little bit, at least 15 minutes more time. So we'll ask all of you about Jackie's story and a little bit more about Kay's story before we launch into Jason's story next week. Sound good?
Sounds great. Thank
All
you.
right. Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Good
Mwah.
being here.
Love you all. Thank you for being here and hanging in there with me and CJ and Tommy and all that. So thank you. And we'll see you back here next week. All right. Mwah.
With 2020, Arvee.
With 2020 vision, yeah. And maybe my eyelashes. My eye doctor won't let me put my eyelashes on yet. That's important,
They won't be important on Safari.
It won't be? Okay, you're right. They won't.
Nobody's gonna care.
You mean it's a no makeup safari?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You could.
I'm there. I'm ready for you then. All right. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.